הימים הראשונים, אני כפות בידיים מאחורה, כפות ברגליים עם חבלים שקוראים לי את הבשר, וקצת אוכל, קצת מים ביום. אני זוכר שאני לא מצליח להירדם מהכאבים, כי גם החבלים כבר בתוך הבשר, וכל תנועה אתה רוצה לצרוח, וגם אתה כפות עם ידיים מאחורה, אז הכתפיים נורא כואבות, ושום תנוחה לא מספיק טובה. ואז יש רגעים שאתה פשוט מתעלף. אתה מתעלף, אתה מאבד את ההכרה, מתעורר אחרי 2-3, והכאבים ממשיכים. ואני מתחנן בפניהם שיורידו שיעבירו לפחות את הקשירה של הידיים קדימה. ואז אני אהיה רגוע, הכל יהיה בסדר. והם לא מסכימים, אבל אחרי 3 ימים מורידים לנו את החבלים.
רק לפני רגע היית חבר קיבוץ, עם אישה ו2 בנות, עם עבודה נהדרת, עם חיים נפלאים, ופתאום אתה זרוק בעזה, כפות ידיים ורגליים.
כן.
אתה שואל את עצמך, רגע, מה נהיה?
אני לא עסוק בזה, כי אני מבין כבר את הסיטואציה, ואני יודע שלהתבוסס בתוך סיטואציה לא מקדמת אותי לשום מקום. אתה מנהל את ההישרדות שלך כל הזמן ומחפש פתרונות כל הזמן. כואב לך, אתה מחפש שלא יכאב לך. אתה רעב, אתה מחפש לא להיות רעב. אתה מבין שאין שליטה, שאתה נתון בידי אחרים, עדיין בתוך הכאוס הזה.
Well, now that I've got a couple of you guys that have finally made your way in here this morning, how are you? And I hope you're doing well. We're going to go over that today. We're going to talk about this today. Because I think it's important for Americans. I think it's important for Israelis. I think it's important for everyone to have a full understanding and grasp of what's going on. AP Payne, right off the get-go, ended up coming in, gifting out 5 Speak the Truth memberships. And I just looked up, and it looks like somebody else, Texas Actual. Brother, are you out of your dang mind? Texas Actual this morning coming in, gifting out 50 Speak the Truth memberships. That's insane. It's insane. There's no reason. And then another 10 get dropped by freaking Bonner. I feel like he's like just never corrected me. I screw it up every time. 2 ends for fun, right? So we have to have this discussion today. There is no other way to have this discussion. And I'm going to be showing you guys a video or 2. I'm going to be taking you guys to Gaza on a little video journey from one that I saw this morning. And so when I see videos like that one, and if you guys haven't watched it, we're going to finish it, listening to like what they actually did to them, because for some reason everybody is pretending like they treated these hostages like really, really well. And they didn't. First of all, they were hostages. They strangled a baby. I'll say they strangled a baby and his big brother and killed his mom. Old man Weiss coming in, gifting out 5. So we're going to talk about this today. We're going to have an honest discussion about Gaza and what has to be done for peace. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's good to see everybody. Man, you guys apparently really understand what the hell's going on. You're like, Matt, thank you for getting back and talking about radical Islam, and thank you for getting back on the Palestinians and what giant piles of garbage they are. You're right. I am. We're getting on that today, and because it's important. So many Jewish people right now, so many Israeli people are worried that nothing is going to get done and nothing is going to change. Like, how many times does Israel have to go back in time until they finally learn? Right? Like, how many times does history have to repeat itself before they finally learn? How many times do you let somebody punch you in the face before you actually hit back? Johnny Sweeney coming in, gifting out 5. Adara, thank you for reminding me. Everybody. I feel like I remember this. I feel like I remember months ago. Now we gotta pause on what we're talking about, and we got to talk about Adara for a sec. I feel like it wasn't that long ago that on the stream, Adar had came in and said, hey, if it wasn't you, Adar, I'm sorry, but I feel like we've prayed for your mother in cancer before. I feel like we've done that. And we're going to do that right now. That's what we're going to do. Because whether or not she's whipped its butt, whether or not she's done anything, we all know it comes back. We all know that when the fight's over, it might not necessarily be over. And we all know that there's always going to be recovery and that there's permanent damage that's done. So, Lord, we ask you to lift up Adara and her entire family. Lift them up in their spirits, lift them up in their daily lives, and heal them from this horrible disease, Lord. Take it away. All things are possible. We are asking you, Lord, to heal the pain, heal the suffering of not just her and her family, but also everybody that's been afflicted by that. Everybody that's ever been afflicted by cancer. Give them a moment of peace today. Go down to their hearts. Lord, we ask all of these things in your name. Amen. All right. So let's get back on it. Let's crush what's happening here. And we're going to start off by playing this video. And if you haven't seen it in its entirety, you should. We're going to continue with this excerpt, talking about what's happened to him while he was in captivity.
אתה מנסה קצת לקחת את השליטה.
וזה יוצר שליטה בתוך האין שליטה.
בדיוק, כל הזמן. אילנה, את יודעת מה זה לפתוח מקרר? שאנשים יחשבו טוב טוב בבית כשהם פותחים מקרר, זה עולם ומלואו. זה עולם ומלואו לפתוח מקרר. המושג הזה בכלל, של אדם חופשי שיכול לקחת משם פרי, או ירק, או ביצה, או מים, או שק לחם. על זה אתה חולם כל יום. לא אכפת לך מהמכות שאתה חוטף, ואתה חוטף מכות, ושוברים לי צלעות. לא אכפת לי.
הרעב.
תן לי עוד חצי פיתה.
אפשר להסביר את התחושה של הרעב?
אי אפשר.
זה הבטן שנדבקת לגב?
בטן שנדבקת לגב, אבל אתה כבר רואה את הבטן שלך ממש נכנסת פנימה באיזשהו שלב, אתה לא מאמין שזה קורה לגוף שלך.
בתקופות הגרועות זה אומר שמה אוכלים?
בתקופות הגרועות אוכלים פעם ביום קערת פסטה.
וזה האוכל לכל היום?
שזה 250-300 קלוריות.
ליום?
ליום, שזה עשירית ממה שאני צריך. ואם זה קורה יום, יומיים, זה לא נורא. במשך חצי שנה אנחנו אוכלים את הכמויות האלה. חצי שנה, יום-יום. כשאתה מבקש עוד משהו ופתאום זורקים עליך איזה תמר יבש, זה נראה לך כמו הארוחה הכי טובה בעולם. כל דבר כזה זה הצלה.
ולמה החלטת להתראיין, אלי?
פשוט באמת, באמת, באמת אסור להשאיר אף אחד שם מאחור. כל דקה, אני זוכר כל דקה במנהרה, שאנחנו אומרים אולי היום, אולי היום. נשאר שם ילד שפגשתי לפני שנה וחודשיים, אחרי 50 יום בעזה.
אלון אוהל.
אלון אוהל. והוא נכנס לי ללב, מבחינתי אימצתי אותו מהרגע הראשון, תמכנו אחד בשני, 24/7 ביחד. כל דבר אני יודע עליו, על המשפחה שלו, כל תאריך, כל תחביב של אחותו, של אחיו, של ההורים שלו, הכל אני יודע. איך אפשר להשאיר אותו מאחור?
ואתה יודע שהוא בעצם עכשיו אחרון במנהרה הזו. אחרון. זה נורא נורא קשה להישאר לבד. כשהיינו עוד 4, עוד זה נותן לך כוח. יש לך עם מי לדבר, יש לך עם מי לקום בבוקר ועם מי לישון בלילה. אז מנקודת מבטו של אלון הייתם 4, 2 שוחררו, אתה ואור, ואז שוחרר אליה בשבת שעברה.
אני לא יכול לדמיין את הרגע הזה. לא יכול לדמיין. ביום שאני עוזב, המחבלים קוראים אותי ממנו, הוא פשוט מסרב לעזוב, תפס אותי. רגע מאוד קשה.
הוא אמר משהו?
הוא אמר שהוא שמח בשבילי. הבטחתי לו שאני לא אעזוב אותו שם, שאני אלחם עליו. הבטחתי לו את זה. אמרתי לו שזה עניין של ימים, ממש.
אז בעצם בשבילו אתה פה.
לגמרי, לגמרי. בשבילו עוד חטופים אחרים.
Like, seriously think about that. For a hot second, please just take that in and think about what he just said and what kind of he just went through there. Texas came in with 20. He says, a beautiful memorial took place in Kyiv for a hero that's going home. And I know many people were involved in helping make that happen. But I know if you didn't jump on it the minute you got the call outcome, it would have been different. Whoa. You know, Texas, like as that video was playing, I went ahead and I updated everybody on Ethan. So far, we have secured $5,000 in donations that have came through to go towards helping his funeral costs. So far, we have 100% secured $5,000, and I'm waiting on confirmation that somebody is going to be covering the entire cost of the funeral. It's insane to me how quickly Americans were like, yep, here we go. And if all it was out of the, I don't know. I'm gonna share this in the chat. But if every person watching this was able to put $20 in, well over 1,000 people are going to see this today. And if every person watched this was able to put was just able to put $20 in, everything would be covered for his family. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this link right here, and I'm going to ask you guys to stop donating to me today, because you guys are very generous and you guys have easily done it. And I'm just going to put this link right here in the chat. This money right here, right, for this link that I just pinned up to the top of the chat, you can donate to go to Ethan, to go to his funeral, to go to his family. I want to make sure that, number one, the funeral costs are taken care of, and number two, that his family has extra cash. Because they've been going through the dang ringer. And so if everybody stopped donating to me today and just took a second, went over there and dropped $20 in it, they would be donating to Ethan's family. And that is going to provide them with much needed relief. Seriously, $20, everybody, everything would be covered. Everything. I know it's asking for people to put faith in me. It's asking for people to put faith in the family. A lot of people don't know. There's a video, we just did it yesterday, but if you just donated that money to that link, if you stopped putting money in this chat and put it over there, they would have it. Blip clearly didn't hear me. Coming in with the donation, says, I love this channel. I was in Ukraine in December of 21 and work in the Lake City Armory Ammunition Plant. Every day I worry about my friends and I am sad for their losses. Sent a PayPal yesterday, sent a bit more today. Thank you, Blip. Tristan Allen, funerals for service members, whether or not he did a full contract or of service, he still served in the United States. That should be free. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, he served honorably in the U.S. Marines. Clearly, he wanted to serve, and he did. So I did an entire video on it yesterday. If you haven't watched it, go watch Ethan's story. You need to. You need to go watch Ethan's story. 3M Forge said, I'm putting together a research package for you to review, Matt. It covers the Philadelphia corridor and how it affects the war and the ceasefire negotiation. 3AM Forge, buddy, you want that job, and I don't blame you one tiny bit. I am going through it. I'm sorry. This stuff with Ethan and making sure that he was taken care of, guys, like, it's consumed my entire week. I'm not going to lie. Like, the amount of time that I put into this is insane. It doesn't, like, you wouldn't think it, but it's insane. So I made promises to the true supporters. I am 100% going through it. I do want to hire one of you guys, for a research assistant and for a couple other things. But the other thing is, I'm going to be giving back to you. And so I'm going to be putting classes together in the Discord for everybody that wants to learn how to do social media and everything else. So all of that is also going to get done as well. And there's going to be 5 that I'm going to be working with here in the DFW region. Like, personally, don't owe me crap, just to help you guys build and get like extra money in your pockets. So if you're in the DFW region, I'm going to teach you how to use social media to make money. And you will, as long as you put in hard work. It is hard work. It's not a joke. It's a lot of work to make it happen. But I'm going to teach you how to do it. I'm going to give you the tools, because there's so many people in here that need it. And I'm going to teach people over in Discord as well. So we're going to take care of that. Thank you everybody that's donated towards Ethan and his family. It does mean a lot. This is the United States. This is what made me go, okay, we need to have a conversation about this today. And we talked about politics. And I said, regardless of what your thoughts are on war, like, politics absolutely matter. Like 100% when it goes into it. And if you look at Republican support for Israel, 83%. And if you look at the Democrat support, it's all the way down to 33%. That is a ridiculous split in ways that I've never seen before. And you got to ask yourself, why is that? Why is that? Why does that big divide split? Because on such a topic like this isn't like, I could see this on maybe like schmishmortions here in the United States, things of that nature. But when it comes to terrorism in America, I thought we had a pretty clear stance on terrorism here in this country. And it's very apparent to me that we do not have a very clear stance on terrorism here in this country. We used to at one point in time when I was a child. I was in high school when 9/11 happened. I think I was going into my senior year when 9/11 happened. And the United States back then, following 9/11, looked a lot like Ukraine does today, where everybody's flying an American flag. You were pissed off at what just happened. If there is one country on this planet that should be able to sympathize with Israel, it should be the United States of America. And our mantra following 9/11 was, we will never forget. And it definitely appears that we have forgotten as a country. Aaron Hill gifting out 5 Speak the Truth memberships. Testis Actual says, I promise you guys, Matt wishes he had extra 20 hours a day. He's been working nonstop for this community and helping people he's never even met. We were lucky to have you. You share your time with us. Brother, I appreciate you. And I've got Texas. I think I'm going to have some business for you. Just throwing it out there. Like, for what you do, I actually think I'm going to be sending you some business. Got somebody that's probably going to need some of your services over there. This is the deal. We weren't supposed to forget, and we did. And I know we forgot because of those numbers right there. And I want you to see this next video. And this is like of anything. Thank you, Blip. Anything. This is, stop. This is today. Over inside of Gaza, this is today. And Preston Stewart put this video out earlier. And I had to look it up and I had to make sure. Preston Stewart put this video out earlier. I didn't even see it. I'm so happy he found it, and I got to give him credit for it. He focuses a lot on Ukraine, but he found this. So what are they doing in this video? Well, they're burying dead Hamas fighters. That's what they're doing in this video. And for the first time in the last year and a half, it looks like Hamas actually found their uniforms. So thank God they're still holding on to them. I haven't seen, I mean, I have seen the streets this full, but I haven't seen the streets this full of people since October 7th. I haven't. Today, information came out that Biden actually urged Netanyahu to attack the funeral processions, the funerals of Nasrallah the other day. He urged Netanyahu to do it. Netanyahu allegedly turned it down because he had concerns of the war front over inside of Lebanon or over inside of Syria increasing, which it absolutely would have. Look at these people. If you just take one freeze frame out of this video, and there's so many freeze frames that we could take out of this video that we could talk about, this one in particular, you've got nothing but a bunch of men and children out there. Boys. Martin Morrison, my dad got his leg amputated a week ago. He'll be back from the hospital Monday. Can we say a little prayer for him at the end? Absolutely. Martin Morrison, dude, we could say a prayer for your dad right now. I've seen you in here so many times. That I know is painful within itself. So Lord, we ask you to look after Martin and his family. And we ask you to take the pain away from his dad. And we ask that you give him hope. And we ask that you also give him a day of peace. In times like these, it's easy to forget how much you love us and that everything that happens on this earth is your will. So help Martin and his family understand why this happened and give him a new purpose in life. Give him hope. Give him peace, Lord. And help him to use this situation, use him as a vessel, use his situation to push your glory here on earth. Amen. How's that, Martin? Listen, look at this video. When I talk about Gaza and I talk about the Palestinian people and I go back and I pull up the video of Kafir and his brother and his mother being taken hostage, and it's very apparent that it's the Palestinians that did it, like the Palestinians are literally the ones that did it, well, what has changed? What has changed inside Gaza? Hey, Matt, appreciate all your hard work and relentless efforts to uncover the truth. Huge shout out from Israel. Thank you. What has changed in Gaza? This is a serious question. In law enforcement, right? You ask, like, why is it that sometimes, well, why do officers have discretion? Let's start here, right? I like to take things and put it into perspective. Like, why do officers have discretion? Well, officers have discretion when it comes to a lot of things because the purpose of law enforcement activities is to do nothing but change your behavior from breaking the law to being a law-abiding citizen. So break the law to being a law-abiding citizen. Tiger Claw, I see what you just did. I'm going to get to it as soon as I finish this thought. Otherwise, I'm going to forget. So it's to change your behavior, to make sure that you're law-abiding. And if the officer feels and understands that you know what you did was wrong, then they don't feel the need. But if you sit there and you try to get into like roadside court with a cop about you weren't speeding when you know for a fact you were doing 20 over and you slap your driver's license up against the window, you're talking yourself into a ticket and you're going to go to court because you haven't learned. I just gave you the answer, ladies and gentlemen. If anybody ever told you not to talk to police officers, I gave you the answer. So if that's the goal, right, to change behavior, what do you think the goal is of Israel when it comes down to all of this? When we look at this screen right here, what do you think the goal is? What should the goal be of Israel here? Well, the goal of Israel should be to change the behavior of these people. On top of everything else that they have going on, it should be to change behavior. To change these people's behavior because they shouldn't be doing these things at this point, right? How many times have you heard we're at war with Hamas and not the Palestinian people? How many times have you heard we're at war with Hamas and not the Palestinian people? I have heard it so many times it's not even funny, or that it was Hamas that did these things, not the innocent Palestinians. And the truth is 100% of Hamas is Palestinian. I know you've heard me say that before, but when you see this, it becomes more clear. When you go and you see the videos of Gaza City on October 7th and the bodies being dragged through the streets and the people cheering them on and the people jumping in the back of the trucks and the people beating the bodies, when you hear about Kafir being strangled to death, and we know by watching the videos that it was clearly Palestinians that took him. You got to ask yourself, what have they learned? Over this year and a half war-ish, what have they learned? Nothing. They have learned absolutely nothing. Tiger Claw says, may I ask why Trump says Zelensky is a dictator one day and the greatest president of Ukraine the next? Are his words always just guided by winning a deal? If that's the case, how is he trustable? Tiger Claw, you want to know my opinion on that? Like, honestly, and I was talking with Texas about this the other day, and it's absolutely correct in my opinion. Politics. It's politics. I told you, number one, that Trump doesn't understand Ukraine, and he doesn't understand what's taking place over there. And last night I did a very lengthy stream explaining why I don't think it's going anywhere. When I say I don't think it's going anywhere, I mean like the war. I don't think the war is going anywhere. So Trump's a politician, so is Zelensky. And over in Ukraine, there is a hatred for Trump based on a false narrative and propaganda. Right? Like he just made sure that if Putin and nobody else wants to come to the table, that Ukraine's going to have enough funding to kick the ever-living crap out of Russia, like actual funding, the things that I talked about, because military commanders, they can't plan things out. You can't plan out a war like Ukraine based on hope that equipment's going to pour in. You have to have money. You have to have equipment. You can't just hope that it's going to come one day. You have to have it. And so what Trump did by doing this deal with Zelensky is making sure that they're going to be able to get it. And I hope you hear me when I tell you this. Like, that within itself, if your butt was on the front line and you knew that you now had a secure line of funding, when you've got people that are like literally piecing things together in order to make it happen. And while I'm at it, Chosen Company, I forgot to tell you guys, Chosen Company, I sent you guys a gift yesterday. It's on its way. And there's a note inside of it for you. There's a note inside of it for you. And there's also something personal of mine that I put in there. I had to do it in a rush because my buddy was busy sending things off. I had to do it in a rush, so it's not a lot. But I love you guys and I appreciate everything you've done. And I am going to continue to do more. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But that's why it's politics, man. What are you more concerned with? Are you concerned with words or are you concerned with actions and what's being done? Because as far as actions go, he just secured a massive line of funding for them to make sure that they're actually going to get taken care of and they're actually going to be able to push forward. So do yourself a favor and just look a little bit deeper. Look just a tiny bit deeper at what actually just got done. Ask yourself why Zelensky flew all the way to the United States to do this, to sign this deal. Why Zelensky did it. You think Zelensky's doing this because he thinks it's a bad deal for Ukraine? You know where Zelensky's heart's at. We all do. Zelensky straight up said he doesn't want to like give up 1 inch of terrain, and like none of this is going to stop until Russia is kicked out of all sovereign Ukrainian territory, including Crimea, including the East. Texas was the first one to point out where those lithium deposits and those uranium deposits are at over in Ukraine. And we discussed it in depth. It's such a big deal that Putin had actually brought forth the idea of if he kept that terrain, go look this up. This is factual. That if they kept the Donbass, that they would be open to allowing the U.S. mineral rights essentially for the region. And now the EU is jumping on that train. EU is offering a mineral rights, offered a mineral rights deal to Ukraine. See, you can't just come in and say that this man is doing horrible things when clearly there is something going on behind the scenes that none of us understand. None of us. Give it time, dude. Tiger Claw, just give it time, bro. I think it's politics. You want my truth? I think it's politics. But let's get back to this. Let's get back to this right here. This is what ticks me off. This. They haven't learned anything. The people in Gaza haven't learned a dang thing. And in order for Israel to have peace, I'm going to say this again. In order for Israel to have peace, what is currently seeing on your screen, what happened today in the daylight over in Gaza, this can't happen anymore. Well, according to them, there's nothing but genocide that's taking place across there, and that the Palestinian people don't support Hamas, when clearly they do. Very clearly they do. You think all of these people are trigger pullers for Hamas? They've got less than 20,000, or at least they, at one point in time they did, spread out across Gaza. These are not trigger pullers. Some of them are. A lot of them aren't. They still have massive amounts of support from the Palestinian people. So if you want peace in Gaza, that support for Hamas needs to disappear. War itself doesn't do it. Even if I bought into your genocidal lies, that's not enough to change your train of thought. Even if Israel legitimately was conducting genocide over there, that's not enough to stop these people from doing what they're doing. And in my opinion, they should. They have the right, because of videos like this, to wage violence on a scale that's unimaginable to most human beings. Because these people in this video that you see filling this entire street support Hamas. Those people need to get smashed. They are just as much valid combatants. They are just as much targetable in international law when they support the terrorist organization, when they provide material support, when they provide financial support, when they are moving men, weapons, and equipment around the battlefield, when they are hiding these people out, when they are stashing hostages, when they are doing all of those things and they're complicit in those actions, they are very much valid military targets. So in order for there to be peace in Israel, not just myself, but everybody needs to finally man up and have an honest discussion about who and what Hamas is, who the Palestinian people truly are. You know, the Palestinians aren't going to stop until the promise of Allah is fulfilled and they own all of Israel, where the Israelis can live in peace paying a jizya to them. Right. How do you stop that? The war that's about to be coming, it just came out. And this is the reason I'm talking about this today, because it did just come out yesterday, probably about 12 hours ago, that in the coming weeks, Israel is going back into Gaza full force with over 50,000. Hear me out. 50,000 IDF soldiers are preparing to go into Gaza. 50,000 IDF soldiers are preparing to go into Gaza, and they should. When I said that the IDF needs to do hands across Gaza and just keep pushing, I meant it. And that is what it's going to take to get peace. Relocating all of the Palestinians to Cairo and rebuilding them something new, that's a reward. Letting them come back to that place, that's a reward. If you want peace in Gaza, you take everyone and you shove them in a little corner, and you can make it the best humanitarian aid zone on the planet. I don't care. You can set up a little corner in Gaza and you could rope it off, and you give them an option. And that option is, if a single rocket gets fired out of this humanitarian zone, if a single rocket gets launched out of this humanitarian zone, we are not going to do a shitting thing for you. When you're finally released out of this humanitarian zone, out of this humanitarian zone, and there hasn't been a rocket that comes out, we will rebuild. We'll take care of you. But if a single rocket comes out of there, no. We'll give you your own independent state, and it's going to be about the size of a freaking, I don't know, grapefruit. And it's going to be isolated, and you're going to be considered a terrorist country. Give them their country. Give them their state. And wall them off and don't allow a damn thing in there. Force them to actually live in their little hell. Look at all of these starving, innocent Palestinians. They're perfectly healthy. They've got haircuts, clean clothes, all of this stuff. Everything. They're perfectly healthy. But they're perpetrating these lies so that people listen to it. Why did I say that if a single rocket goes off from inside of there, that they're getting jack, that they're getting nothing when Hamas is finally decimated? Those rockets that have been fired from within those humanitarian zones that they're talking about, or those refugee zones, all of those rockets, all of those things that are happening is through these people. And this is the honest truth, that those people help facilitate it. That's why there's cameras that are set up waiting for these rockets to go off. That's why all of those things are set up. And so if we want actual peace, we can't just simply say, we'll go down here and we're going to repeat the same mistakes we made last year, where we allowed you to smuggle hostages through our good graces of letting you know this attack is coming. We allowed you and we allowed the fighters to go through humanitarian corridors to escape these areas, to fight another day. We need to be honest. That's, if you want peace in Israel, if you want peace over there, we need to start with honesty. And the honest to God's truth is that everybody in this video are genocidal maniacs. These are genocidal maniacs. These are people that are willing to wipe out an entire population. An entire population. To meet a religious goal. That's genocidal maniacs. And you need to give them an opportunity to hang themselves or to change. They haven't been given an actual opportunity to change. They haven't been given an actual opportunity to pick their own future. You give these people an opportunity to choose your own destiny. You want to continue on with this? Go ahead. But the mentality is so bad inside there. Listen to this. I was having this discussion last night. This is how sick the mentality of some of these people are. That they were going through a kibbutz on October 7th. And that they had taken a young boy and they had told that young boy to knock on the doors of these family members and to tell them, like a young Israeli child. So they used a young Israeli child to lure people out of their bunkers, out of their safe rooms, and tell them that everything's okay before they shot him in the face. There's one instance where they took an entire family that had a meal prepared. They took an entire family that had a meal prepared. They're getting ready to sit down and eat when all of this kicked off. And when the Palestinians got in there, around the table where they were about to eat, they took this family and they tortured them. And we don't know, sadly, the order in which it happened, whether it was the children first or the parents first, which ones went down. And they took the eyeballs out of one of them and put them in a bowl on the table. And then those monsters ate at the table where the eyeballs were in a bowl. We don't talk about that enough. Now, if that happened here in the United States of America, and we found somebody that did things like that, we would call them like genocidal maniacs, nut jobs, whatever, but we would all agree that that person needs locked up for life. And yet there's people in this world that are like refusing to acknowledge that. How many of you guys knew that story? How many of you guys knew that? How many of you guys knew that they literally went into a home, sat around the dinner table? This is real. You can look this up. There is 100% evidence of this. This is one example. There is so many examples of that. And as you've seen in the videos on this channel, the vast majority of the people on October 7th that crossed the border were Palestinian. Manson, yeah, Dahmer, right? Those are all the type of people that we would think of that would do things like that. So you can't just sit around and act like that mentality is going to get broken. That, ladies and gentlemen, that mentality that I just explained to you about sitting around a dinner table after ripping somebody's eyeballs out in front of their freaking children and having them tied up before murdering them, that example is why this exists. That mentality is not going to get changed. That's the same mentality. It's how I was able to predict that Jelani hasn't changed, because he's got the same mentality. Mad Kukla knows, friends in Israel. That mentality is what's causing this. It's born out of the people. It is an idea. You're not fighting an organization, you are fighting an idea. And what I'm about to say is Matt's opinion. What I'm about to say is solely Matt's opinion. But I believe it to be correct. And it is not an option that I think I'm given. But if you want an honest to God's answer on what needs to happen, I am going to put it like this. If you're Christian, if you're Jewish, you are well aware that God flooded the earth. You are well aware that God did that. I'm not God. And I don't know 100% the right answer. But what I do know is if these people live and they don't change their mentality, that it's going to happen again and again and again. Just yesterday, they were calling for more of it. On Ramadan. Ramadan starting. By the way, it's going to happen again and again and again if it's not changed. That option that I just suggested is not one that I want. It is one that is the only one that they are giving us, ladies and gentlemen. It is the only one that they are giving the world. Kukla, you're going back to Israel? I mean, I'll go to Israel. I'm going to. I'm looking at Ukraine and Israel. I'm waiting on some dust to settle. And I'm waiting on Israel to, I want access. I've been telling Israeli, the IDF for a very long time, the specific places that I want access to in Gaza, and I'm not worried about it. And then I have SF units that are prepared to escort me, and I fully understand my risk and involvement in everything that I'm doing, but it's important to me that the world actually sees certain aspects, because all they have done so far is they've dog and pony showed specific freaking media outlets down in Gaza. They haven't done like a full-blown, this is what the people are like, this is what is actually happening. And I want to show the world the people of Gaza. And I want to show the world what Israel is legitimately dealing with. And I'm not talking about after it's cleared out. I'm talking about when they find these things. Because here's the problem, is every single time things happen, every single time Israel finds a copy of Mein Kampf or a tunnel or whatever. Every single time they do that, they go, look, this is the Zionist entity that is found. I don't trust a word that comes out of their mouth. That's what people are saying. And this is the other step. The IDF needs to allow people like myself. I'm a retired Green Beret. I've got 4 years in combat. I will be fine. I don't need a gun. I understand what to do on a battlefield not to die. And that's to listen to the people that have been there and done that. Even with my experience, I don't have operational experience in Gaza. So I take my marching orders from the people that I'm with and I document stuff to the best of my ability while I'm there. And I make sure that Israel approves everything for release. And there's a reason that I want to do this, because if you don't, and you don't show that as IDF is moving forward, as they're moving forward and as they're going to clear these areas, this is what was discovered right here on the battlefield. This is not Israel giving you this information. This is Matt, an honest, trustworthy human being. I am showing you what was found from my own personal perspective. I just watched this unit clear this area. We are walking in and clearing this area, and this is what was here. I'm not Jewish at all. I am Christian. And I don't know if you guys know this or not, but Christianity comes from the Jewish faith. This is another conversation that we were having yesterday. Christians and Jews are both waiting on the same thing. And I've got a whole other opinion on that, and I'm not going to have a Matt personal religious talk on that right now. But what I am going to do is I am going to throw myself out there and say that needs to happen. That needs to happen. We need to have people document point A to point B of what happened and what's on the ground, because for some reason, the Israeli government, the IDF, cannot be trusted. You are correct. The big difference is we think the Messiah came, but we also think he's coming again. And he will. So riddle me this. You have this great opportunity, Israeli Defense Force, to allow me to do that. I am in a position in life where I want to do that. And if you're in the IDF, if you have families in the IDF, I want you to pressure them to get me on the ground with this SF unit. I have already reached out to them. I have already given them the unit name. I have already given them all the contact information of who wants to do this with me. Allow me to do this. Allow me to do this not just for Israel, but allow me to do this for the entire flipping world. Allow me to expose what is taking place. I got away from doing devotionals. I left my devotional book at home when I left. Need to order another. But I'm still going to talk to you guys because I think it's important. I want to talk to you guys about Job today. And it's for a reason. It's for a reason. If you go back and you read Job and you go through it, I've leaned on it really heavy right now. And I was talking to a friend last night. My friend's like, oh my gosh, you're reading Job right now? Like, what is wrong with you? Like, no, I am absolutely reading over Job right now. For a reason. God allowed all of that to happen to Job. Nothing on this earth happens without his approval, his authority. Nothing. That means that what just took place on October 7th, it's a hard truth to understand, but that's what happened. And then we look back and I go, you know, as a Christian, it's hard for me to come up with forgiveness sometimes. It's hard for me to forgive people. And I try to find my best way to go about doing it. I really do. No, I don't need to vent, guys. I'm being perfectly honest. I'm not venting. I'm good. I promise you guys. I'm feeling really good. I'm doing great. I want you to wrap your mind around this. People that have been mean to you in your life, people that have been horrible to you, people that have done sick, evil acts to you. Talking to you, Israelis. All of those things that have happened in your life, that you have witnessed, that we talked about, was for a reason. And I refuse to believe that somebody got their eyeballs ripped out if it wasn't for the greater good. Job got put through the ringer, and not just Job, dude. Everybody around him got freaking wrecked. So here's what I'm saying. All of this was already coming out, and it was going to happen. Those people will be in your lives. And Nordino Gibson, you can't forgive him. I get it. If I'm able to look at what has happened in my life, and I'm able to look at, you know how I let it go? You know how I let it go, man? Like, I used to have a lot of hate from Iraq and Afghanistan, and I used to, like, I'm not going to lie, dude, for like a period of my life when I was over there, I had lost a friend once, and I was pissed. All I wanted to do was go after these people and make sure that they were no longer on the planet. I wanted to make sure that they were no longer on the planet, and I was doing it from a place of hate. And this is part of your devotional for the day. I was doing it out of hate. And you have to let that hate go. And the way you do it, and thank you to my wonderful friend last night that made this connection, because it's something I'd been thinking about, and I finally got like the actual biblical reason behind why it is. So it makes it easier, right? Like once you put it up and you go, here you go, God, makes it easier. Then at the same time, you can understand. Then at the same time, you can understand what's taking place over there. And you can forgive those people. They're a product of their environment. They are. They were born in a certain place. They were raised a certain way. If I took that same soul, though, and I put them over in America, or if I put them over in Israel, if I took that same human being and I had them raised in a loving family in the United States, or had them raised in a loving family over in Israel, or in any place on this planet, it wouldn't be that way. That would have never happened. And it's, as I'm telling you guys this, it's funny, people are saying, never forgive them, never forgive them. I didn't say you forget what happened. I just said God flooded the earth for a reason. Talking about Gaza. So make no mistake about it. Make no mistake about it. I'm talking about you and your soul and your heart. You, your soul, and your heart. You need to do that. But do not forget what they have done. And do not forget what they are capable of. And because what they are capable of, and because what they want to do, you have to. This is the hardest part. I've said this so many times. This is the hardest part of being a Christian, is actual forgiveness. Love your enemies. You can feel bad for them. It's okay. But you need to understand what they are capable of so that you can do what you need to do. Because if you're going about this the wrong way, like I did for so long, that's what you're going to regret. That's what you're going to regret. And I'm glad I'm having this discussion today, because I see the amount of people in the comment sections that are saying, like, God may forgive, but I don't. You have to. Commanded to. It wasn't a suggestion. It wasn't a suggestion. Let it go. Learn from it and move on. It is one of the hardest things that you will ever try to do. Try it today. Seriously, try it today. It is one of the hardest things that you're ever going to do. And then remember that nothing on this planet happens without God say so. So I'm just throwing it out there. Understand where they come from, understand the problem that's taking place, and also understand that you, for the sake of your own soul, needs to do that. You were commanded to do so. So, Lord, I pray that everybody in this chat that's saying that I can't forgive, I hope that you use me as a vessel today, and that people here heard me and understood what I was trying to tell them. I hope that they do get deeper into the book, walk closer by your side, find a way to forgive. Not to forget, but to forgive. And I pray that you do bring peace to the Middle East. There is a time for violence, Lord, and I do believe a lot of it's coming. And for those people, those 50,000 that are about to go into Gaza soon, I pray for their peace and that they too can find forgiveness, because only with true forgiveness can they justifiably do their job with goodness in their hearts, understanding what's going on, moving forward. I pray that you watch over them, and I pray that they're victorious to rid the world of evil, Lord. Because this that's taking place is pure evil. And there is a lot of people on this planet that recognize it, and we're doing our best. Jesus, please help them find peace. Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to jump off for the day. The link is at the top of the bio to help out Ethan's family. Please help them out. Please. Every penny, once it's recouped, the money that was put forth for his plot, every single penny that's after it's recouped, every single penny goes towards Ethan's family. They have travel costs. They've been living abroad. They haven't been working. And they've now got to buy plane tickets from Ukraine all the way over to LA for this burial. And then there's more expenses that go into that. Now they've got cars, they've got hotel rooms, and they've got to make up a ton of stuff. Oh, by the way, I just learned his mom was dealing with a very horrible disease for a very long period of time. I hope I didn't get that wrong. I believe it was his mother. Someone in their family. I'll just say that because I'm not 100% certain of that right now, but somebody in their family was dealing with that. That caused more problems. So please find it in your heart. Like I said, if everybody could find $20 to put in there, this whole thing would be taken care of, and you would be bringing peace to a family that for the last year has had to wonder where their child's body is at. And now we're bringing an American hero home to rest where he deserves.